Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with my latest project for the design team at Doodlebug. So this week we are playing with Farmers Market. This is in my top 10 favorite, actually top 5 favorite Doodlebug collections. It is so fun between the fall colors and the little veggies and just so many fun elements. The colors in this are perfect. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. So what I have done for you today is a very simple 5x7 album, very packed. You can get about 50 pictures into this one with a shaker on the cover. So what I've done on the cover is I have built a little farm stand that is a shaker. So I've used the Tangerine, Limeade, Bumblebee, Ladybug, and Lily White Doodlebug shaker balls inside my little shaker frame there. I've used a sticker and a border, a sentiment sticker and a border from the This and That sticker sheet. I've got flowers and veggies from the Veggie Garden Puffy Icons, and then a couple of little bees and a little ladybug down here. Oh, sorry for the glare. From the Farmers Market Puffy Icons. This has a 1.5 inch spine, and it is a stacked hinge system. So there's not a hinge per se. You're building your page assemblies as one piece and then stacking them together. Of course, the full free tutorial, and I'm doing something a little bit different with this one. The cut list for this is actually going to be a free download on my website, scrappingundertheinfluence.com. So that will be linked in the description box below. So when you get in here, I've got a nice side loading pocket here for additional pictures. Photo mats here. Of course, this is loose, so you can tuck a photo behind there. We've got 4 1/8 by 6 1/8 photo mat in the pocket here. You could absolutely get more than one in the pocket. And then this just repeats as you go through. So I've got a bits and pieces, I've got odds and ends pieces, another photo mat, more odds and ends, a little chit chat piece here. So it just repeats, making a super easy, super quick project to put together. You'll see that the tutorial for this is really short because it is that easy to do. It takes maybe 10 sheets of cardstock, 1 sheet of chipboard, and then whatever paper collection. If you don't happen to have this one on hand, it's a very easy project to put together. So again, we've just got this and that, and odds and ends, and a chit chat, and another odds and ends, and another this and that, and odds and ends, this and that, and another flap, and then another odds and ends piece, and another side loading pocket in the back. So super, super simple, but a project that will hold a lot of pictures. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our cover. So I have 2 pieces of chipboard that are 5x7 and one that is 7 by 1.5. I've covered the back of all of those with tape. My cardstock to wrap my spine is going to be 4.5 by 9. So I'm going to use my 1 inch Clearview top spacer and my 1.5 inch Clearview spine spacer. And then I'm going to go ahead and put our spine piece down on our cardstock, like so. I'm going to swap the spine spacer for the cover spacer. The cardstock for our front and back cover is going to be 7 by 9. So 1 inch top, 1 inch side. If you do not have spacers, you can score 1 inch on the top and 1 inch on the side and use that as a guide to where your chipboard needs to go down. The Clearview spacers are available on my website, scrappingundertheinfluence.com. Okay. All right. So we're done with those. Move the scoreboard out of the way and grab my bone folder, my scissors. I'm going to use the cards or the chipboard to bend the cardstock around the chipboard, okay, like so. And as I do that, I'm going to burnish where it folds to get a crease, like so. Okay, I'm going to do that on both cover pieces and spine. If you are new to mini albums, I do have a mini album, actually 2 beginner tutorials, one of which there is a kit available on my website. If you are new to this and you want to try a different album, that kit does come with those spacers. All right, so once you've done that, you can go ahead, take your scissors, and you're going to cut miter from where your fold line is. I know the black cardstock can be a little bit trickier to see. So you can see there's my fold lines, so we're just mitering out from that. Okay, that's going to give you this. You're going to fold in and do the same thing going the other direction. You're going to do this on all 3 pieces. Once we get these all mitered, we will wrap our cover pieces and our spine, and then we will assemble our cover. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take 1/4 inch tape, and I'm going to go around the outside edges on all 4 sides on both of my cover pieces. You can just use glue on this. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. I just think I get a better result in the end doing it this way because the tape will grab immediately, and then the glue will ensure that it holds forever, essentially. Okay. If you roll the tape, 1 second. On your spine piece, we are going to do the tape on the top and the bottom. And then turn it over and do it on the long sides on the outside. Okay. Now, since this is the one in front of me, this is the one I'm going to start on. So I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off. I'm going to take my glue, I'm going to go along the edge of the chipboard, and then in that open area in between, push up against the chipboard with the bone folder, and then fold this over and burnish it down. Okay, same thing on the other side. push up against the chipboard, fold over, burnish it down. Once I've done that, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to use my bone folder to go along the edge of the chipboard, because you can see now how that spine becomes very defined. This is going to help us get our cover put on here and keep it nice and even. Okay, for both cover pieces, we're going to do the exact same thing, just on all 4 sides instead of on 2 sides. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go along the chipboard in my open area in the middle, not up onto my score tape. That will have, when you're finished, you have your first cover piece wrapped, ready to go. Okay, just like so. I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. So now I'm going to take my spine. I'm going to pull the backing off of my tape. I'm going to put glue in that open area, but you do not want to go all the way to the chipboard. So you can see that's where it bends. We are not all the way up to the edge of the chipboard. Just a tiny bit more, it was a little light. Okay, so I'm going to use my fingernail on the top. I'm going to watch on the bottom, keeping this lined up until you feel it slide off on the edge. Okay, we're going to repeat on the other side. Turn it over, burnish. Now, the last piece is going to be a piece of cardstock that is 1/8 of an inch shorter than your overall album height and at least 1/2 an inch wider than your spine wings. So mine is 6 7/8 by 6. I've covered the back of this entirely with tape. I highly recommend that you do this step in this manner, because it's going to keep this, when we put it down in the book, from bubbling up. Okay, so totally covered in tape. I'm going to just center this up, top to bottom, right to left. Top to bottom, of course, is definitely more important than the right to left is, as long as you've got enough to cover the wings on the spine. I'm going to fold this up and burnish to get the cardstock into that crease. Okay, so you can see how flat it is there. And then it's defined. Close it up, pinch it to set everything into place, and there's our cover. Okay. Our pages on this are going to be super easy. We are going to do a stacked hinge as opposed to a actual hinge and page assembly. So your first page is going to be 6 3/4 by 10 3/4. You're going to score this with the 10 3/4 at the top, at 4 3/4, and 6 inches. The next piece is going to be 6 3/4 by 10 1/4. With the 10 1/4 at the top, you're going to score at 4 3/4 and 5 1/2. Our last piece is going to be 6 3/4 by 9 3/4. We're going to score at 4 3/4 and 5. Okay. So we're going to start with our page with the biggest score line. I'm going to fold this over, make sure I'm lined up side to side so this is nice and straight, and I'm going to burnish from the middle out and the middle out. Turn it to my other page. Same thing again, middle out, middle out. All right? And just repeat that on all 3 of these. Including the one that kind of wants to fight with me here. Okay, there's 2, and then 3. So the pages in this book are it's gonna be a very small gusset between the pages. So we're not gonna get super chunky on the pages. But doing it this way without a huge gusset and without them getting super chunky, we do end up with 6 pages, okay? If you would like to mat here, you can. I'm not going to because it's really not going to be a whole lot of that spine that's showing. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back here. And center this up as best I can. If you would like to, you know, dig out the centering ruler and make it exact, you absolutely can. I'm fine with it being close, for lack of a better descriptor. Okay, go ahead and burnish that down. Take our next one, we're going to do the same thing, only now we're just centering side to side because our height is going to be the same. Okay, glue, centering side to side. Okay. And our last one. And of course, the skinniest one is always the hardest one in my opinion. I got a little carried away with the glue, so it definitely wanted to move on me. Just like that. There we go. All right. So I'm going to give those a couple minutes to dry while I get our page elements ready to go. Okay, so pages inside, this is incredibly simple, okay? You will need 6 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. With the 6 3/4 at the top, you will score this at 1/2 inch, okay, on all 6. You need 6 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 4. With the 5 3/4 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. If I can get a straight score line. And 5 1/4, turn it, and then score at 1/2 inch. We'll come back for our front and back inside cover, which are also identical, okay? Because this is a very simple album, the front of each page gets a flap. So I'm going to miter, fold my score line and burnish. I'm going to turn my book upside down, and I've done my other pages already, so we're just going to do the front page. Because like I said, they're all the same. You can put them in whatever configuration you would like, but I just repeated each page. So that's going to go centered at the top. Burnish that down. So then we've got our nice little flap. On the back side, we're going to do a pocket. So you can see my screwy score line. We're going to miter across the bottom where the score lines cross, and then we're going to miter at the top. Okay, and then same thing, we're going to fold and burnish. Okay, like so. Burnish those down, and there you go. Okay, so you'll just repeat that on all the pages. Okay, if you wanted to mix it up, you could do, you know, flaps facing on one page, pockets facing each other on the next. But the whole purpose of this one is to be very simple, that you can also get a lot of pictures in. So on here, you'll be able to get a 4x6 picture, no problem, front and back, okay? For the front and back inside covers, we are just gonna do a side loading pocket. So this is 8 by 2 3/8. And it's 2 3/8 because I literally just took a scrap, cut it to the right height, and then cut it in half. So if you want to adjust this one based on your scraps, you absolutely can. So the 8" at the top, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch, 7 1/2, turn it to the 2 3/8 side, and go 1/2 inch again. Okay. And because it's a pocket, we're going to, we're going to throw it across our desk because that's necessary. We're going to miter and miter. Okay. Turn that sideways. Go ahead and fold and burnish. Burnish. Fold and burnish. Let me get my glue on here. I am going to go ahead and do all 3 sides because I'm not using art glitter. I've actually got Nuvo glue in here today because I was using it for something else over the weekend and just didn't ever switch it back out until I had started working, and I was like, oh, it's fine, we'll just let it go. It will be fine. Okay, and that's it. The inside of your book is done. I will be back, and then we are going to do our cover, because our cover is going to be really fun. Okay, so on the front, we are going to do a little, like, farm stand shaker. A couple of years ago, when this, well, about a year after this collection initially came out, I had done a large, I think it's 11 by 10 folio, and I did a very large farm stand on the front of it, and I thought that would be fun to kind of duplicate that on the front of this one. So what you're going to do, start with a piece of lightweight chipboard that is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. We are going to go ahead and mat this in its entirety. You're not going to leave any kind of border, so my cardstock to mat this is also 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. Okay, I then have lightweight chipboard that is 1 by 4 3/4, 3 by 4 3/4, and then 2 pieces that are 1/4 wide by 6 3/4 tall. We will end up trimming these down, but for now, that's what size they are. Okay, and then I have the Petite Print from the 6x6 pad, the Craft Petite Print. Craft, this might be Bonbon, I'm not honestly sure. A brown Buffalo Check Wood Grain Petite Print from the 6x6 pad. And I'm going to glue that down on my front here, like so. And then on my 1 by 4 3/4, I'm going to glue another piece that is the same width, so 1 by 4 3/4. Okay. And then on my 2/4 inch strips, no, these are not 1/4 inch, these are 3/8, so I cut those wrong. So let me grab my trimmer and fix those really quickly. Hopefully I don't have to dig out another piece of this. I think I should be okay. And when you've got like a tiny one like this that you have to cut down, what you want to do is grab washi tape. And I'm going to line this up where it needs to go. And it's apparently on the short side, so no, we're okay. Just kidding. I can't read my own stuff here. And then I'm going to washi tape that to my trimmer and then cut it in half. Because then it's not going to move on me the minute I drop that little bar down on my trimmer. So hopefully these are both the same size. I think they should be. I don't know. The math is not mathing for me tonight. So that one's good. That one's slightly narrow. So I'm going to end up having to find another piece, but that's okay. I think I have one more piece of this. If not, we'll be making some other kind of adjustment to it, but that's okay. Okay, so there's that one. Let me grab my Petite Prints. Ah, there's one more. I knew I had another piece. Is it the same? No, maybe it's not the same one. Haha. Hold on. You know what? It's close enough. It'll be fine. Actually, no, it's not. That's going to bug me. So that's okay. We're going to go with it the way it is. And if it's slightly short, it's slightly short. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to be noticeable. But 3/8, not half an, or not 1/4 inch, 3/8. I think I started with 1/4 inch and decided it was too small. 3/8 by 6. And after you get those glued on there, then you can just take your scissors and trim off that extra little bit. And throw that away. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to start with my 3 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to get my foam tape. So this is 1/4 inch wide. Sorry for the creasing. The only reason I kept the packaging is I want to keep it so that I remember where the heck I got it from. Because otherwise, I'm not going to remember. And the next time I need it, I'm going to be like, where did I get that from? Okay. So, you're going to go around the outside of this with the foam tape. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way across on the bottom. I'm going to go up the sides till I'm about 1/4 inch from the top. Actually, no. Yes. We'll start out 1/4 inch from the top. Okay. And then you're going to go across there, also 1/4 inch down. Okay. this with that gap towards the top, we're going to go ahead and put this down. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I meant to mat this just yet. But I think I have a plan. Maybe. We'll see if I have a plan here in just a minute. Okay. So the next one, I'm going to slide this underneath and run it along this outside edge to the very top. So sliding it underneath, it's touching underneath there where we cut it short. Same thing on the other side. Like so. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing along the top. Like so. And then rather than trying to get this piece lined up exactly, I'm going to go put about 1/4 of an inch gap in between and come across like so. Okay, that is all of our foam tape. Now I do have a piece of acetate that is 4 3/4 by 4, and I am going to grab, because it is a scrap out of my scrap pile, I am going to grab my rubbing alcohol and I am going to clean off the side that's going to be facing down. Okay, so this, we actually want it to slide underneath that edge. Okay, so I am actually going to take and just put a little bit of score tape along the bottom. And see how far under that's actually going to slide for me. And that's actually going to be good, but I'm going to take just a tiny, tiny sliver off the very top of this. Okay. So, I'm going to get both sides of my acetate with the rubbing alcohol. That is so not ideal the way I've got that in there. It's not quite touching on that end like it needs to be. So instead, we are going to push another piece down in here just to make sure everything down here is sealed off, which that should do it, and that'll be fine. Okay. If you get it all the way across, see I've got a gap? You don't want that gap, but easily fixed. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold back, get the cardstock off the edge of my tape there, geez. Fold one corner back. I'm going to slide this underneath. Line up side to side. Slide that all the way down until it stops. And then pull that backing out. Okay, so that's attached. Now, before I do anything else, I am going to put my shaker fill in. So I am going to use a combination of Tangerine, Lily White, Limeade, Bumblebee, and Ladybug, okay? Because those are the colors that are in the vegetables, all right? So I'm not going to need a ton, just a little bit. So there's some orange. And because we have this like mostly together at this step, it's going to be a lot easier to gauge how much of this we want to put in. Another thing you could do if you wanted to get really fancy, you could take the puffy icons, put the anti-stat or put baby powder, anti-static powder, whatever, on the back of them and lay them in here face up so they shake around in here with the shaker balls, but I am not that motivated tonight. All right, so we've got all those in. Now I can start this side closest to me, maybe. Where's my thing? Okay. You want to be careful when you do this. Pop that out. Seal that down. Okay. And I can come over here. Do the same thing again. Again, and one more time. Okay, and down it goes. And then I am going to burnish this just to make sure everything is good and stuck. And there's our shaker. So now we're going to take our top piece and score tape. I'm going to put score tape on the back of our little 1 inch by 4 3/4 piece that we have already done our matting on the top. I'm going to get score tape on the back of this. Okay. I'm going to line this up at the very, very top. Like so. And then our side pieces are actually going to sit on top of this bottom part, and they're going to connect up, which really we can kind of eyeball about where they need to go. I'm going to take another about 1/4 of an inch off so they stop at the base up here. Okay, so on this one too, I'm going to go ahead and just put score tape on the back. Okay, we'll just line up on that outside edge, thereby covering up your foam. And on this side, we're going to do the same thing. Go about like that. And again, like so. There and right down that side. Okay, so there's your little farm stand. All you need to do now is just decorate this. You can do a combination of the gosh, I forgot to get them out. I'm so sorry. And I don't know that they're in here where I thought they were. Definitely not in that pile. Hold on one second, I apologize. You can use a combination of doodle pops. You could use shape sprinkles. You could use mini icons, or what I think I will end up using is going to be, if I can get a hold of the same things, the Veggie Garden Puffy Icons. Okay, so there's actually 2 sheets of Puffy Icons with this collection. There is just the normal little icons, which you could use those even. You could put the little basket down here that's right here up on this corner. But I can use some of my little jars up here, and then I can just take some cardstock scraps and do like some little shelves and put my other veggies on there. So that much I will leave up to you. As far as decorations go, of course, there's Chit Chat somewhere. I have Chit Chat. Chit Chat. You know, so there might be a Chit Chat piece that's going to be small. It'll fit on there. So, you know, it just depends on what you want to put on there. So like in the little sentiment strips here, the little banner sentiments, we've got Happy Harvest, Eat, Sleep, Plant, Repeat would actually be cute up there. But what I think I'm going to do is probably find some little, one of the patterns, either from the 6x6 pad or the 12x12, and just use a border punch to give it like a little scallop or a border die. I think I've got, in fact, I know I've got Doodlebug border dies. Maybe that's what I'll do. To kind of put along the bottom here, like a little ruffle. And then just, you know, decorate it however your little heart desires. Once that's decorated, you would of course mat here, and then this will just go on the front of your book like so. So there you go. Gotta love a shaker.